there, guys. Luke here with the Outdoor Gear Review. I hope you're all doing well on this beautiful spring day. The lands are definitely coming alive. Everything's turning green and everything's growing, as you can see here. Basically, today, I've had some of you guys write in, some of the guys who are kind of new to backpacking and hiking, and basically asking for some tips. So today, we're going to be hiking up in the woods. We're going to be checking out one of our old camping spots just to see how everything's grown up, see what type of work we got to do on it. But as we do that, we'll be going over some tips that you guys may find useful when you're out hiking and backpacking. So, guys, let's get to it. It's a beautiful day. When I was written about this and I was asked about, what type of tips that I would recommend, I kind of sat back and I thought about it. And actually, I wrote out a long list of different things. But, for today's sake, we're going to talk about 10 or 11 different ideas, philosophies that I keep in mind when I go out. No matter the type of trip that I'm taking, either a day hike or even like an overnighter or a multi-day backpacking trip, I always keep weight in mind. Now, for me, I believe in going as lightweight as possible. But there are some certain degrees of flexibility there. Go lightweight, but don't go without the essentials that you need. If you're going to go out for a very long hike, day hike, multi-day, whatever, you want to do it comfortably. You don't want to be weighed down with 60 pounds of gear, stuff that you're not going to use, right? I mean, all you're going to do is, you may not make it the full destination wherever you're headed. You may make it and be so miserable and sore. It might rub you raw, hurt your back, whatever. Be weight conscious. Some of the best trips I've ever taken in my life are the lightest weight ones, But you definitely don't want to sacrifice, especially when it comes to essentials, food, water, shelter, whatever. You know what I mean? So that's definitely important, and that would definitely be my first tip. Be weight conscious. I like to go light. Now, of course, going lightweight means a lot of times that you're going to have a higher expenditure. Good lightweight gear is also pretty expensive most of the time. There's some exceptions, of course, depending on what you're looking at. But for me, I'm someone that has a back injury, so lightweight definitely fits my bill. For you, I suggest that you go as lightweight as you possibly can. Usually, cheaper gear will be heavier in weight, so I suggest just do the best you can. All right. For tip number 2, it's pretty basic, and it goes along the lines like this. Leave your valuable items at home. You don't need them. You don't need your class ring. You don't need your wedding ring. So if it's valuable and it means something to you, leave it at the house. You're going to be focusing on doing other things that are typically kind of rough. You might be running, you might be climbing, so on, so forth. Anything that's lost, there's a good possibility that it will not be found again. You guys may recognize this area here. Basically, that's where we've been going camping during the winter. And as you can see, it has grown up a good deal. We'll have to head to the camping spot to see how it looks. Before we head up to the camping spot, we might as well touch on point number 3. And basically, it's one of the most obvious and one of the most commonly told points about backpacking, camping, and hiking. And it goes along the lines like this. Let someone know where you're going. Let them know where you're going to start at. Let them know where you're going to finish at. And the route that you plan on taking. And then once you start your trip, try to stick to that route. If there's any way possible, that if you have to detour, let someone know. That's especially important when you're out by yourself. For the most part, I really do try to stick to the route that I tell my loved ones that I'm going to take. You should definitely do the same. Alright. Our next point, or tip, is another pretty basic one. And basically, before you head out on your trip and you're packing your gear, make a checklist of everything that you're taking and everything that you need. In most cases, you'll be glad that you did. Even the most experienced hiker can leave the house, leaving something important behind. It's typical for me, It's typical for everybody else. So I'm the type of person, I need a list. So I always make sure to make one. You know, really, there's nothing worse than being far from home, being out on your trail, miles in, only to discover that you left some essential piece of gear at the house. You know, maybe it's your tent stakes, maybe it's your first aid kit, maybe it's an item inside your first aid kit. Whatever it may be, you know, maybe it's your method of purifying and filtering water, you know, and you got a long trip. It's gonna be rough. So always make a checklist, follow it, make sure you detail your gear so you don't leave anything behind. Whew. Look at this. It is a green wonderland, is it not? Spring is here. Everything's growing extremely fast now, especially with all the rain that we've gotten recently. I mean, I haven't been able to get outside really, except for the day hike that I did a couple days ago. Other than that, it's just been pouring the rain every single day. Even today, we're under heavy rain watches and whatnot, so we'll see what happens. But at least at the moment, the sun is out, and we're able to check out our camping spot to see how she's doing. Our next tip is pretty simple as well, pretty common sense, and basically it goes along the same lines as being comfortable and lightweight. But this is the focus of the backpack, and basically the fit of the backpack. You don't want to go out with a backpack that doesn't fit you correctly. If it's not comfortable, it certainly isn't going to be comfortable later down the road 12 miles in when you're carrying a bunch of gear. So, you know, what I recommend is that you go to a store, you try the pack on. You know, get someone to help you if you need help, and make sure that it fits you properly. You know, most backpacks come in a large, medium, and small, you know, so you can get what really fits you the best. You want to make sure that, you know, the harness is good, that the waist strap fits you right, that it rests correctly at the right spot. I can't begin to tell you how vital that is for having a good trip. If you're like me, I like going a long distance. You know, I really like to push out the miles, so the pack has to be incredibly comfortable. I like my packs to fit real close and snug to my body, kind of like you can see there. And you know, you hike 12 miles with a pack that doesn't fit you right, and let me tell you, you're gonna feel it. It's gonna rub you raw. It might hurt your back. It'll ruin your trip. You know, I've seen it happen many, many times with others. Even I've done it when I was, you know, first getting into hiking and backpacking, and not really certain about what type of pack was right for me. It definitely, you know, is a huge benefit to go into a store such as REI, whatever, and try on some bags and get them to help you find what type of size you are. Here's a little tip. You don't have to buy from those stores either. A lot of times with places like REI and so on, you can get a good idea for the equipment and still purchase it elsewhere, such as online. I personally find like REI to be really expensive. That's why I like to check out their outlet store online. You can get great, you know, discounted gear for a good price. You can find gear on Gear Trade. Basically what I'm saying is go get an idea of what fits you correctly and then shop from there. You'll be a lot happier after you've done that. Well, well, well. Here's our fire pit that we built. We got some firewood on the ground here. As you guys can see, gosh, it has grown up a lot. I'm definitely going to have to come up here with maybe my weed eater or possibly the mowing saw, something like that. And I'm going to have to take all this stuff down. Everything grows really, really quickly around here. We get a lot of rain every year, almost the same amount of rain as a rainforest. So, yeah, overnight this could be a jungle, and the longer I wait to take care of it, the worse it's going to get. So, definitely got some work to do. We might as well head up here and see where we usually put our tents, just see how bad it is as well. Tip number 6 is something that I preach in just about every one of my hiking videos, and it's shoes. Shoes and boots. Nothing more important for your hiking and backpacking needs. And, you know, nothing will make your trip as enjoyable as a really good pair of shoes that are broken in, or nothing will make your trip suck as bad as a pair of boots that don't fit right, aren't comfortable, or they're not broken in yet. I can tell you personally that breaking in a pair of boots on the trail is absolutely awful. As you guys may have watched in my previous video, where I was hiking the Mountain to Sea Trail. I was wearing a pair of military boots, combat boots. I'd worn them 15 miles previously, a couple years ago, definitely not broken in yet. That was really my mistake on taking those shoes, and I didn't quite wear the right socks and all that stuff with them, but basically that was blister city, you know. I had to cut the skin off my feet, the blisters were so bad, but you know, that's how it goes. So take it from me, don't do what I did, you know. If you're going to purchase a new pair of shoes, wear them for a week before you get them out and you do any long distance hiking. You'll be glad you did, because there's nothing worse than having blisters all over your feet, especially when you're trying to go uphill, you know. Ah, gosh, kills you. Also, when it comes to shoe selection, you have to keep in mind that not every pair of shoes will fit every single situation that you're going to be going into. So plan accordingly. You know, if you're going to be going into a wet environment, if it's calling for rain or whatnot, you may not want to wear shoes that are really airy, that breathe very well. You may need something that's waterproof. If it's a dry climate, then go for something airy, something, you know, very breathable, such as these awesome Vasky shoes. I love these. These are fantastic summer shoes. They can get soaking wet, they dry extremely fast, they breathe very, very well. Perfect because I know that the temperatures aren't going to be dropping even remotely close to you know, hypothermia levels. In the fall and the winter, these are not good choices, and I usually don't wear them. But for this time of year, they're absolutely perfect. So plan accordingly, be smart, get shoes that fit, break them in first before you take them out. Simple enough. Yeah, everything looks pretty good. We've set up our tent here a number of times. Looks like we've had some limbs and sticks and stuff fall here, so definitely need to do a little bit of picking up. Definitely need to do a little bit of mowing. I'll probably come up here with my weed eater, and I'll probably mow this entire hill here, all the way down to where the fire pit is, you know. Just to take everything down, and plus that'll help with ticks and stuff like that. You guys may or may not know that ticks do not jump. They latch on, and basically they rub off of an animal onto, like, say, a standing tree or bush, a limb, and that's how they will get on you. Oftentimes, by the time you notice that there's a tick on you, it's been on you for hours. And so, yeah, I'll definitely knock everything down. I definitely don't want to mess with any ticks, and plus, I like it looking good. Not to mention that there may be snakes hiding around in the corners. You never know unless you can see them, right? The next subject of conversation here, tip-wise, would be how far can you personally go? What is your endurance level? You know, if you're not used to hiking, if you're not used to carrying a good-sized load and putting a lot of miles behind you, you may not want to go out for a 20-mile day hike. That would not be right for you. You got to, of course, take elevation gain into question. You know, do you have to, if you're going downhill, do you have to come back up? Are you, you know, do you have the endurance to do such a hike? So basically, it comes to fitness. You know, if you plan on taking a 100-mile hike, spanning over a couple of days, of course, it's something that you may want to train for. You know, if you just want to do day hikes, start small. You definitely don't want to go halfway and then have to, you know, turn back with your head down because you're not in good enough shape to complete the hike. So basically, just take a realistic look at your own fitness level and choose a sort of, you know, hike or backpacking experience that fits that. You'll have a great time, I promise you. Okay. Well, we have a pretty good idea of how our camping spot looks here and the sort of work that we're going to have to put into it to get it back into shape before we use it. So as we go back down towards the house, we got a couple miles to go. We'll touch on some more points. The next one, for me, is that plan for everything. Don't plan for, you know, specifically what you're hiking for. You know, say if you're going out for a day hike, don't plan just for a day hike. There's nothing wrong with being proactive, taking a little bit more time, packing a little bit more gear to get you through any possible situations that come up. For me, I always plan for a multiple day trip if I have to. even if that means a very basic shelter, just enough to get me by, I will take at least that much. I take extra food, I take extra water, and a way to purify and filter water as well. I have a way to start a fire. I have a way to recharge my cell phone if I need to. And that'll bring us to another point here in just a little bit. But you really have to plan for the unknowns. And in life, as you know, there's a lot of those, you know. And just because you go out for a day hike doesn't mean that your hike won't turn into a multi-day thing. Honestly, you'll be surprised at how easy it is. And once you start breaking it down and thinking about what you need, you know, you can really get away with a very light load that you can survive on for a long period of time. You know, for me, it's always important to have all the essential gear: food, water, protection from the elements, navigation, information concerning where you're at, possibly maps, fire, a knife, a flashlight, and a first aid kit. All of those are extremely important when you're out and about, even for a day hike. You gotta make sure that you have at least the bases covered so you can handle and survive multiple days if an accident happens, if your path is blocked, if you get lost. Who knows? The next point is mainly aimed at solo hikers and campers, kind of like myself. Of course, you know, if you're out with a group, it kind of works with them as well. But, you know, you have to keep a calm head when you're out in the woods, when you're out on a trail, when you're out in the middle of nowhere. You know, there's going to be times when you come up across animals. You see animals in the woods, maybe a bear, maybe even a bobcat, mountain lion, something like that. You know, keeping a calm head, even to say if you get lost, is the most vital thing you could possibly do. It's when your heart starts thumping, your adrenaline starts going, that you're going to begin to make mistakes, you're going to rush, you're not going to think clearly, and that's where a possible bad situation goes from bad to really freaking bad. And that's definitely not what you want to do. Definitely, when you're out and about by yourself, kind of like I am right now, hiking alone, a couple of miles from anybody's houses or anything like that, you know, you have to remember that all the decisions basically boil down to yourself. It's the decisions that you make personally that are going to have humongous repercussions for your safety, you know, for the type of trip that you're going to have. So definitely take your time. There's no point in racing, running through your trip. If your heart starts pounding, you get excited, you get nervous, you get scared, go slow, breathe, and you'll be happy you did. My next tip is batteries. Batteries for your cell phone, or a way to charge your cell phone. Batteries for your GPS unit. Batteries for your flashlight. Maybe batteries for your handheld walkie-talkie. Basically, you need to have power. If you're out and about with a cell phone, you need to have a way to charge it. Personally, for myself, I always carry a battery brick. It's about a 10,000 milliamp battery that I can use to recharge my phone multiple times if I need to. And that really is important, because during this day and age, communication is vital. Even if you don't have cell phone access at a specific spot on your trail, doesn't mean that 20 miles down the road that you won't, because the odds are that you will, for most people anyway. Now, if you're out and about in the woods and you don't have a way of charging your phone, then you may want to think about conserving battery life. If you have a smartphone, turn it off. Put it in airplane mode. You don't need to have it constantly searching for service and draining the battery. The same goes for any other type of phone. If it's searching for a signal, it's going to drain it. You know, even so, you may just want to turn the phone off for a little bit. Of course, there are some negative sides to that. You may not get an important phone call, an important text message or email, whatever. But if you don't have service, you're not going to be getting those anyway. So something to consider. It's a judgment call on yourself that you have to make wisely. And like I said before, you make the decisions and you will pay for the repercussions, whatever they may be. Our next and final tip for the day, for this video, basically goes along the lines of checking the weather before you head out on a trip. Now, of course, if you're out for multiple days, weather conditions change, forecasts change. But before I go out, I always make sure that I check the weather and I see the most accurate and up-to-date forecast. That's a big deal. Before you head out on a trip, you need to know if it's actually a good day to go out on that trip. If it's calling for severe thunderstorms and flooding, you may want to put that trip off. If you can't put it off, then you're going to need to pack the right gear to handle those sort of conditions. So always check the weather, make sure you got the right gear. Be smart, postpone it if you have to. It's just the right thing to do. It's a smart thing to do. Alright guys, well that pretty much summarizes all of our 10 or 11 little tips there for backpacking and hiking. Of course, realistically there's about a million different tips that one can share. At the moment when I was asked this question, those were the immediate ones that I thought of and I thought I would convey with you guys. Now of course, I'm sure you guys have some great tips, so why not pop them into the comment section there, share them with everybody else. Coming up in the next couple of days, and possibly into next week, a lot of it really depends on the weather, but we have a couple more videos coming up for you guys. One, we had somebody write in asking about a cheap way of waterproofing your pack and protecting your gear. I've got a great idea for that, and I'll share that, guys, with you fairly soon. We will be doing a camping trip. The one that I was talking about previously did not work out on the Mountain to Sea Trail because it's been pouring the rain every single day. It'd just be absolutely miserable. But you know what? We're going to go camping no matter what. So within the next couple days, even if we have to go car camping, we'll take the Ram van and we'll park on top of a mountain and just watch the thunderstorms roll in and out. Sounds awesome to me. But yeah, we definitely got some trips coming up. We've got some good videos and content coming. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all the conversations we've been having. It's an awesome community to be part of. So guys, be good. We'll talk soon.